year ago, I built a kayak out of PVC and cling wrap. I'm predicting this will work for about 5 minutes. Somehow, it worked. But kayaks are super slow, and the only thing I could think of whilst I was not drowning, paddling peacefully through the middle of a lake, was how much I wanted to be moving very, very fast. So today, we are putting a go-kart engine into the freaking Cling Wrap Kayak. This video will basically be a weird and rambling tutorial on how to mount engines and other methods of propulsion onto your canoes or kayaks. Hopefully you'll learn something. Let's get started. Now, it has been quite a while since I initially built this thing. It has started to degrade. Big surprise, I know. Most plastics do not like sunlight. I don't know if you were aware of that fact. UV light degrades plastic. So obviously the first thing we're gonna have to do in this video is repair the Cling Wrap Kayak by just wrapping it in a butt ton of cling wrap again. Wrapping and wrapping. You just wrap it a bajillion times. It's really boring.
The following Thursday.
My plan was to do this in summer, but it is no longer summer. It is November. So the water temperature is gonna be about, I'd say, butt freezing cold. Anyway, I saw on Pinterest this stupid idea. Take a trolling motor thingy and hook it up to this that hooks up to a drill. And then you just stick some pool noodle on it so it doesn't sink when you inevitably drop it in the water. Let's give it a try. That's cold. Alright.
That's me, how is your hoe?
Oh, jeez. Oh, God. No. Oh. Oh.
I nudged you. Don't get it caught in those things.
It's a great idea.
That's got to be the best part I've ever seen. So it would seem.
And it's amazing, and it just goes in circles. Yeah, it's good at going in circles.
You need dual. You need two of them.
Yeah, it's mostly entirely useless. Interestingly, the drill actually has enough power to do this, and the whole prop setup actually works. Problem is, due to the shape of this stupid kayak, I can only stick it on one side. That caused it to turn, right? And it's such a stupid, awkward thing to... And my toe is cramping. Ow! Then we can take these, shove one through there, shove another one through there. Then those can feed through those. Go on in, it's okay. Go, come on. I swear I made them big enough. Maybe not. Okay, hang on. Slight, just momentary delay. No one get excited. Get out of there. Then we can just feed these through. Come on, go in, go in, go in, go in, go in. Go, I swear. Ha! First try. First try. That thingy then can screw right onto the end of this weed eater. I've done some PVC and duct tape to make a super janky rig, so that I can then attach it to this thing. Yeah, it goes like this. Can this? I don't even know if this can work upside down. I should probably test that first. So dumb. I know this is possible with a particular type of weed eater. I have no idea what kind of weed eater that is. I bought that.
Mine.
Shut up. I decided I was going to be nice and not sink Zach's nice weed eater.
Yeah.
So I bought the cheapest one I could possibly find at Walmart. Anyway, I have no clue if this is going to be powerful enough. To be honest, I'll be very surprised if this actually works. It's working!
It's smoking!
Now I've watched several videos of people who did something very similar, and their weed whackers did not start smoking, which means, I actually am not sure what that means. Here's a few of those videos just so you can see that it does in fact work. My best guess as to why ours started smoking is the centrifugal clutch is being put under a lot of torque, a lot more torque than it's used to because of the water, which could mean that the clutch isn't building up enough centrifugal, like rotational speed to grip the outer housing enough, which is causing it to spin instead of gripping, which is causing it to essentially start burning the clutch out. Maybe that's just because this weed whacker is so cheap, the clutch isn't very high quality. Honestly, probably that's why. That actually worked though. Granted, very, 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 very slowly. I've become tired of screwing around with stupid makeshift boat motors, so I want to do something that I know will work. A trolling motor. 40 bucks on Facebook Marketplace. It's only slightly broken. So we're just gonna make a very simple trolling motor mount. This is actually the design I'm going after. You can buy these. It's basically for mounting onto a canoe instead of a kayak. If we cross our fingers really hard, yes. We now have a trolling motor mounted to the Cling Wrap Kayak. That's definitely a bit precarious. This thing, I know, will actually put out some power. There's a number of things that could go wrong here. The battery could fall out, the battery could get soaking wet, the battery could shock me, and then I could drown. I don't know if the battery would shock me. Can you stop?
I would love to view a snapping turtle attack about now.
Thankfully, I have an impeccable sense of balance. It's working! It's working! Granted, it's not moving very fast, and we are super low in the water because of all this weight, but this is totally working.
Well, this is boring.
Now you know how to attach a trolling motor to a canoe. However, what if you want to attach a trolling motor to a kayak? Here's how you do that. You have these holes already in the regular kayak designed for fishing poles. So instead, you slide some PVC down in there. I think this is 1-inch PVC. Then you just bolt a board to that, and then you just mount your thing to that. It's super, super easy, and I haven't actually attached anything to the kayak itself. It just like stays in there with friction. This is honestly a great addition to any kayak. Super easy to do. I'm drifting a kayak.
He looks like an idiot.
So he's an idiot.
Well, that worked. It's not freaking fast enough. I need more speed. So there I was in the pit of despair. I didn't know what to do. Wait a minute. I have no idea how I'm gonna do this. I mean, we've got to have steering, we've got to have throttle, we got to be able to lift it up and out of the water, we got to have a mount that will attach to the kayak that we can stick the engine on that will allow the engine to move both up and down, lifting the prop out of the water, and then left and right, steering the boat. We'll use this larger square tubing for the actual frame of the deal. We're gonna need some round stock to slide into some pipe, like so. That'll be our swivel. What we're going to be doing is basically taking this stuff and forming a frame that then the engine will screw onto, like so. So basically we just measure across here, which is 4.5 inches, then across here, which is like 7.5 inches. We're just going to create a rectangular shape that will then attach that to, I already said that bit. That will then go right there. Aha! Well, slightly off center, I think. My welding is getting better. Time for the moment of truth. Let's see if it will, if I drill the holes right. Gently lower it. Yo! Literally perfect. Wow. First try.
First try.
So here's the trick. These two pieces go like so. This slides over that. And voila. We have a swivel up and down as well as side to side. Alrighty. Now we're at the point where we need to actually figure out some sort of drive shaft for the propeller. Drive shaft's probably not the right word. We need something to stick the propeller on. Something, and that will attach to the engine. So when the engine turns, the propeller turns. Got what I'm saying? Yeah. The engine has a keyed shaft. I can demonstrate with this clutch. See that bit of metal down in there? Go ahead and slide that on. Come on. Like so. When the shaft turns, it turns the entire clutch with it because it has that key locking everything down. Here is the challenge. I have to figure out how to attach a shaft onto this without permanently affixing anything to this, because I want to be able to put this back on the go-kart. There are a lot of different actual ways you're supposed to do this. I just don't have the proper parts. Instead, we're gonna have to get clever. Here's what I've come up with so far. I've got this 3/4 inch steel pipe, and I have found it slides over that shaft. Unfortunately, it's a little bit loose. We're gonna make it work though. I can physically weld this 1/2 inch threaded rod to this shaft. Problem being that the thread rod is 1/2 inch, the inner diameter of this is like 3/4 inch. There's a gap. However, if you stick these nuts on the end, it is now a very tight fit, a little bit too tight. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to weld these nuts all, lock them all together, lock them to the actual threaded rod. Then I'm going to grind down until I can slide this right over. Then I am going to weld this straight to the threaded rod. This is where we're gonna use this keyed shaft to our advantage, because we're going to drill a hole there, and then we can stick some bolts, or like machine screws or something, down through there, so that the ends of the screws lock into this channel, which will tighten everything down and prevent it from spinning round. I bought myself a prop for a mud skipper boat. It was like 15 bucks on eBay. Slides perfectly over this 1/2 inch threaded rod. So if I stick some nuts down there, and I stick a nut on top, it is not going to go flying off. However, it still is able to spin. So I'm going to drill a hole through the prop, then I'm going to stick a machine screw through that, tighten that down, then it will be fixed to the rod itself. Obviously I could weld it on. No, I actually couldn't weld it on because this is aluminum. You can't weld aluminum to steel. I have tried. This engine has shifted the center of gravity of this thing way higher up. Center of gravity meaning, you know, how easy it is to tip over, right? Well, now we've added a bunch of weight way up high, which means it'll tip over more easily. Since I don't want to drown out in the middle of the lake and lose my glorious go-kart engine, we're gonna build some outriggers. So I installed a set of handlebars. I bent some PVC. I have tied this paracord all the way down over here. I welded this bar across and tied the paracord so that when this swivels, those handlebars over there also turn, which means if you turn the handlebars, you steer the motor. I then ran a throttle cable down to this bike brake. This is our throttle control. Haul this sucker out to the lake and give it a test. Actually, we should do a preliminary test. Hold on. Oh, jeez. That is why you record everything. As you can see, it spins more than it was a moment ago. Apparently this threaded rod is not strong enough to handle the forces of that thing spinning around, and because it wasn't perfectly on center, it started rotating in a wider and wider spiral, bending it until it sheared my pins off and some part of it hit me. Maybe the prop. Dang it! That is annoying, I was so close.
16 paranoia-filled days later.
Behold, this retarded thing. This is a frame which connects to a pipe that then the threaded rod goes through, and that pipe will theoretically be held in place by the frame and prevent the threaded rod from flip-flopping like a fishtail.
My genius. It generates gravity.
Everything should be working. Nothing crazy should happen. I mean, it works. Quick update, I've attached this handle here, which means now it is possible for me to both grab the throttle and lower it into the water. I've also attached these two pieces here. What that does is it restricts the amount of movement it can do so that there's no possibility of the whole thing just spinning around, which I realized was a possibility last time. Everything should work. Cross your fingers. But there's a problem. See, this thing doesn't have a clutch, which means if I don't keep just the right amount of throttle, the resistance from the water will make the engine stall. Like that. It's also very difficult to steer. I underestimated how much force the steering would require. The PVC flexed way too much and the paracord was too stretchy. As a result, there was way too much slack in the steering. The engine seemed to have a mind of its own.
The steering is also backwards on top of everything else, so I can't ever remember how to steer it.
And pause right there. See that? That right side is completely underwater. Putting outriggers on this thing was the best idea I ever had. Fortunately, I'm a quick learner. Took a few tries, but pretty soon I felt like I was getting the hang of it.
I actually kind of steered it that time. Every time I start moving too fast, water starts splashing up over the front. The motor is pushing the kayak down into the water. Oh, wow! Oh! Victory! Hallelujah! That didn't work as well as I'd hoped. The prop was too close to the top of the water and the force it was generating wanted to pop it up. Other than that, once I kind of got the hang of steering, it worked. It semi-worked. I was able to steer it right back to where I came, not quite back to where I came from, but close enough. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you attach a freaking go-kart engine onto your cling wrapped boat. Thank you so much for watching this episode of JakeMakes.